Welcome to the 2016 Founders Reception. I'm Blair Hundertmark, and I'm here with
Kate Pilot.
And we are your hosts, streaming live from Dean's Hangar at the Founders Reception. It's an amazing party going on, and we've got a great lineup of interviews. Kate?
We know that not everybody can make it here at a Founders Reception in New Hampshire, but we wanted to share the excitement for this event, which is traditionally a celebration of mentors.
The place is hopping, and there are kickoffs going off both here in Manchester at First headquarters, but all around the world. There are actually 114 local kickoffs happening. They're in Mexico, China, Australia, Israel, Turkey, Canada, and the U.S. We are streaming around the world to all those kickoffs.
But tonight, here at the Founders Reception, we're talking to some of the FIRST community. We've got some great mentors lined up, and then at 7:30 local time, we're going to go over to the podium and we're going to hear from Dean, Woody, and others.
Now, if you've never attended the Founders Reception, you should come. Put it on your bucket list. It's amazing. You get to spend kickoff weekend with all these great mentors, sponsors. There's lots of people. One special guest we have tonight, a lot of great interviews. We've got FIRST Robotics Competition Director, Frank Merrick. And Frank, just like last year, has a little surprise. He's got a present for all the teams that you'll open tomorrow in your kit of parts.
And who doesn't like presents? As you can see behind me, we are in full swing. We have 600 mentors, suppliers, sponsors, and FODs, Friends of Dean. They're all here tonight, kicking off the 2016 FIRST Robotics Competition.
And here's some more numbers. It's another big year for FRC. We have 3,132 FRC teams, including 400 rookie teams. Welcome, rookies. They'll be joining us at 125 regional, district, and championship events. So it's going to be an exciting year. We want to start it off with a big, exciting night, our web stream from the Founders. So I'm going to toss it to Kate for our first interview of the night, a longtime supporter of FIRST. Kate, who do you have?
Thank you, Blair. Now, we all know that FIRST would not work without supporters, and we have a big supporter here with us tonight. This is Ray Hsu from National Instruments. Now, I work on the kit of parts. I have a very good and close relationship with National Instruments. I know the FIRST and National Instruments relationship well, all the way from Compact Rio and LabVIEW to now the Robo Rio. Ray, National Instruments has been great. Can you tell us a little bit about how that relationship got started?
Yeah, we've been involved in FIRST for almost 10 years, and really it came about with our relationship with LEGO Education to develop the software that all the FLL teams program. And over that time, we've just been amazed at the impact that FIRST has made. And for me personally, I spent 16 years as a software engineer, and really at that time wanting to do something to impact education, and had the fortune of joining NI to work with FIRST. And really, I think us providing world-class tools to the students and to the teams, and what we've seen the teams and the mentors accomplish has just been outstanding.
I absolutely know what it's like to have a job that is inspiring, right?
Exactly.
So now I know the relationship with National Instruments and FIRST at the headquarters level, but it sounds like there's a lot going on with National Instruments in FIRST in Texas. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are headquartered in Austin, Texas, and so we do a lot of things in Texas. And one of the things that we enjoyed working with FIRST on is that we, as a company, also celebrate achievements in science and engineering. So we're very aligned there, and we really want to work with FIRST on changing the culture. And as we know, changing the culture takes time. But this year, Texas, the organization called the UIL, which endorses all extracurricular activities, is piloting FIRST Robotics as a sanctioned school event. And this means that FIRST teams can compete at the same playing field level as football and basketball. And we're talking about Texas, so I think we're really making an impact in changing the culture.
That's great news, and that's great progress, Ray. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy kickoff, have a happy new year, and safe travels home. Thank you so much,
Good luck,
Ray.
everyone.
Blair, now I recognize that face next to you. Who do you have over there?
You should recognize him. He's a star in the FIRST universe. He's a long-time mentor for FIRST. He's a volunteer. He's also the Andy part of Andy Mark. But he's here as an Uber mentor because he's a Woody Flowers Award winner. He is the one, the only, Andy Baker. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks, Blair. It's great to be here.
So let's do a little history. How long have you been involved with FIRST?
1998 was my first year as a mentor, but my coworkers were on the first robotics team in Kokomo, Indiana in 92. So I got to see FIRST grow since 92 all the way till today. But it took me a few years to get involved. So 98, I joined Team 45.
Technocats.
Yep.
And today, who are you mentoring?
I'm on a new team, Team 3940, Cybertooth, out of Northwestern High School in Kokomo, Indiana. We still sponsor the Technocats. They're still around, but my daughters are on the Northwestern team, so I decided to jump over there.
Family is important.
Yes, yes.
And we'll get to that a little later.
Okay.
So Andy is a long-time mentor. You've seen a lot of things at FIRST.
Yep.
Give us some advice. We've got some mentors out there, maybe a rookie mentor or a first or second year mentor. If you had to give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
This is advice I even need to listen to myself some years. Keep it simple. Look at the game challenge, figure out what you want to do, and realize you only have a limited amount of time, a limited amount of resources, and keep your design simple. Give your drivers plenty of time to practice, give your software team plenty of time to implement all their codes. If you bite off more than you can chew, it becomes extremely difficult. So keep your design simple.
And Andy Mark, how's the company doing?
We're doing well. We're getting ready for a new FRC season. We actually support FTC and FRC, and we're what's good for FIRST is good for Andy Mark. We ship parts worldwide from Kokomo, Indiana, and there's a lot of people back home working at Andy Mark that I want to say hi to, and they bust their backsides for FIRST. So it's a good family there too.
Well, thank you for letting Andy out of the building for this weekend, the kickoff weekend. Now, we talk about family. You've got some family members with you. Who do we have? Let's bring them in.
Come on in. This is my oldest daughter, Rachel. She's a freshman at Purdue. She grew up in FIRST from this high. FIRST was the thing that took me away from the family. So she was a firster in high school. Now she's involved with the Purdue FIRST programs. And my mother, Kathy Peters, she supported us as we have been participating in FIRST for many years. So I'm happy to have them here at kickoff.
So FIRST family, and I even knew Rachel when she was yay big.
Where is she from?
She's from Baker.
That's right.
She told the entire arena at Purdue one year. She's from Baker. Well, enjoy the kickoff, Mom, Rachel, great to see you. Now, I mentioned you won the Woody Flowers Award. That was 2003, before the tightened the requirements.
Yeah. I kind of broke it, I think. Yeah.
So it is my pleasure now to introduce our next guest, standing by with Kate, the namesake of the award. Kate, who do you have, Kate?
Look who I found. I found Woody Flowers, the mentor of all mentors. Now, Woody, we just heard from Andy Baker. He's a Woody Flowers Award winner. I know that you know all of them. Is there a consistent trait that you see among those stellar individuals?
Kate, I'd be really foolish if I thought I could characterize the WFA winners with one thing. They're an amazingly diverse group of people. But I think maybe their similarity is their difference. Each one of them has at least 2 or 3 major dimensions of being really cool at what they're doing. They may have incredible deep knowledge about the subject matter, electromechanical devices. They may have a hyper-empathetic response to the students, so they may make them feel comfortable and at home. All of them have a wonderful mix of really good stuff.
So it sounds like there is no one thing that you could master to be a great mentor.
That's right.
But there are a variety of ways that you can be really valuable to a FIRST team or any group that needs a mentor. Now, I think that you have a lot of experience with FIRST seasons. I'd like to ask you, are there potholes or pitfalls that you'd like to warn mentors about as we enter the build season?
Well, I think the team works best if the mentor is a helper, a coach, rather than a judge, a tester. So long as you keep the team together, if the team members think that you are helping them and the challenge is out there, you're not judging them, you're helping them accomplish what they want, then I think things work much, much more smoothly. After that, trying to find various things for everyone to do and make sure that even the craziest ideas are celebrated, because quite often they fold into the killer winner idea. So make sure you're the coach, not the judge, and make sure you're responding to everyone in the team.
I think that's valuable advice, and I think it's easy to lose as the chaos starts. So, Woody, thank you so much for taking the time to share those thoughts with us.
And I just want to promise that tomorrow we will give everybody a very hard problem. So it's really good.
You heard it here. A commitment from Woody. You're going to get a very hard problem tomorrow. Woody, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for everything you've done for First.
And likewise.
Happy kickoff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy kickoff. Blair, who did you find?
I've got another passionate mentor. Woody's passion spreads throughout the community. A lot of people recognize this guy because he's so passionate about First, he got a tattoo one year. This is Michael Villarelli from Team 333. Michael, welcome.
How you doing?
Happy kickoff.
This is amazing.
So is this your first time at Dean's?
Yeah, this is the first time. This place is phenomenal. I can't. It's mind blowing.
It is mind-blowing. How many years have you been involved with First?
This is my 16th year. I've been around a long time.
And you're a mentor. You started with 333, and you're a mentor with who now?
No, I started with 354. I left in 2013, and now I'm with 333, the Megalodons. This group of kids, they're just phenomenal. I love every one of them.
And they're out of Brooklyn?
Yeah, every one of them.
You want to say hi? So how did you get involved with First?
When I was a student, when I was a junior in high school, an assistant principal dragged me in the hallway asking me if I was interested to join this program. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Joined it. I never looked back. After graduation, the program really helped me out. I was able to get a scholarship from it. I was able to go to Polytech and Hofstra University, graduate as an engineer, and today I'm an engineer because of the program.
And I know that you used to do some game announcing as well.
Oh, yeah. That's how we know each other. From 2005 and 6, me and you were side by side.
That's right. Down in New York. So you've been around First for a long time, both as on the student side and the mentor side. What advice would you give to mentors?
For mentors, clear your credit card out, because every year I have to clear out my credit card just to do all kinds of crazy spending. That's actually the best advice I can give. You have to overnight these parts. Andy Baker was just here. I wish you could bring the shipping down just a little bit because it hurts. But a lot of the time you need this stuff overnight, so you do your best you can, and you try to. Speed is the name of the game.
Yeah. So good luck with your team this year. I know you drove all the way up from Brooklyn just to be here at the Founders tonight. You're going to drive back tonight after the Founders so that you can be there with your kids tomorrow morning. I hope you guys realize that's a lot of work for you guys, right? So have a great year. Thanks for coming up. Happy kickoff.
Thank you, Blair.
All right. That's one longtime mentor. Kate is standing by with another longtime mentor from WPI.
We're trying to say mentor as many times as we can. How are we doing? All right, yes, so I am here with a longtime mentor, professor at WPI, runner, pilot, Ken Stafford. Ken is with FRC team, First Robotics Competition Team 190 out of Worcester, Massachusetts. And Ken, I want to know, in your history, do you have a mentor or mentors that have really influenced your life or career?
Yeah, actually, Kate, there's always a couple people that really are key to making you want to do what you want to do. And I had my first mentor would be my father. My father was just the kind of guy that understood that my best toy was something I could just take apart. He bought me a car when I was 13 years old, and it never drove, but I didn't need to. I just took it apart. And the other mentor I had, which was really influential to me, was my high school physics teacher. And instantly, I just ran across him. He's 82 years old. I saw him. We're Facebook buddies now again. It's been 45 years since I've talked to him, but it's really great.
That's really wonderful. Were there particular things that those mentors did for you that you try to carry on as you mentor your team and your students?
Yeah, of course, from a father's perspective, it's all about appreciating and loving your mentees. And good mentors do that, really. And so my dad obviously loved me. But more than that, he was empathetic for what I needed to have at the time. And he knew that a toy in a box was not what I needed. I needed something I could take apart and pull apart and break and fix. And so that was good. He understood what I needed. Plus, he just had wonderful love to me. My other mentor had a unique capability of knowing more about me than I did. And so I think it's another characteristic, because he's the one that said, Ken, you should be doing physics. And I said, well, okay. And so he's the one that set me up for scholarships when I was in high school, and he led me toward my path towards science and eventually engineering.
Well, we can thank both of them for that.
Yeah.
We're happy to have you here, Ken.
Thanks,
Good
Kate.
luck this build season. Good luck this competition season. Happy kickoff.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'm excited to start my 820th day of build season.
820 days of build season. How terrifying is that?
2 years.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Ken. Good
Take
luck.
care. You bet. Thank you.
Blair, I understand you have another guest with you.
I do. I'm standing here with Lauren Jefferson, one of the first AmeriCorps Vistas. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell me a little bit, what is an AmeriCorps Vista?
So VISTA stands for Volunteer in Service to America. And what we do with the AmeriCorps VISTA program is we work to help start, support, and sustain FIRST programs in low-income and underserved areas.
Great, and you're from Hartford? Yes. So how specifically do you actually work with the mentors and the coaches? What do you do with them?
So a lot of what we do is helping teams overcome challenges that are specific to them. A lot of the teams that we work with are in rural areas or in low-income areas that don't have resources, and they have specific challenges such as transportation and just trying to be able to find resources within their communities. So what we do is we try to help connect coaches, mentors, and teams with the resources they need to be able to have FIRST teams in their community.
Great, and how does a coach find you?
So there are over 40 of us in the U.S., and all of our information is located on the FIRST website on firstinspires.org under the volunteer section.
And they could probably email you directly as well?
Yeah, all of our contact information is up there, our profiles, and where we're located as well.
Great. Enjoy the kickoff. Thanks for stopping by. Now, there are a lot of resources for FIRST teams. He's just walking right through. There are a lot of resources for FIRST teams, including the Senior Mentor Program. Kate's standing with a FIRST Senior Mentor right now. Kate?
Thank you, Blair. We have found Rebecca. Now, the FIRST Senior Mentor Program is another resource for teams. Rebecca represents the FIRST Senior Mentors from the Western New York region. So, Rebecca, can you tell our audience more about what is a FIRST Senior Mentor?
Well, our motto is support, recruit, and expand. So we're technical and non-technical mentors that are there to help teams start, support them throughout their journey, and make them grow. So we're really a great resource of people with a lot of different skill sets to help in whatever a team might need.
Great. That sounds like a huge help to a team that particularly doesn't know what their next steps are. So can you help us understand what specifically can a FIRST Senior Mentor help with?
We can help with anything, really. A lot of teams sometimes will have a need for technical workshops, connecting you with the people that they really need help with. We're a great resource for those connections, getting volunteers. So any way that you really need help, we're whatever you might need. I kind of say that my door is always open for my teams. They have my cell phone number. They can call me whenever. I've had phone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I totally mean that. And all the senior mentors are that way. Even if it's just moral support, you want to stay at an event, you need help managing your team, whatever it might be. And we all have special skill sets that help us be better senior mentors. And if we don't know the answer, we'll always help find someone that can.
And now I'm going to go off script a little bit. We were talking earlier, and you don't work for FIRST. You're not a paid. You're a volunteer. So you make yourself that accessible as a service to the community as a volunteer position. That's correct?
Yeah, kind of. I've actually been doing a lot of this stuff for a while, just as a mentor. I'm a FRC alumni, go 340. But I was doing a lot of these things before, and my regional director tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, it's actually a position. We get a stipend, but it's not anything major. I mean, it's nice. It basically pays for me driving to teams and helping them out and finding the resources that they need. So I do this as a volunteer basis because I love this program. I'm obsessed with it. It's so great to be here. So yeah.
We're really glad you're here. So if a team wanted to find a local senior mentor, how would they go about doing that?
The easiest way to do it is to go onto the First Inspires website and just put in that search bar senior mentor. There'll be a list by location. Make sure you look at it a little bit though, because for example, in New York, I'm the Western New York, in the Rochester area, which is more of the Finger Lakes region. Ron Borden is their senior mentor, but we work together. So even if you contact the wrong senior mentor, which has happened before, we'll get you in touch with the right person.
Great. Well, that sounds like a super resource. I'm so glad you do it. I know that you don't do it for that stipend. I know you do it for the teams in your area, and I know that's true for all the FIRST Senior Mentors. They're there to help you. So please don't hesitate to take advantage of that. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great build season. Good luck and happy kickoff.
You too.
Blair, I understand that you found another friend of First.
I do. A lot of people recognize Terrell. This is Terrell Birch from South Carolina. Welcome, Terrell.
Thank you very much.
So is this your first Founders?
Second.
Second Founders, okay. Now, mentoring, we often think of as the coach on the team, the educator. But mentoring takes a lot of different forms. And one is just through the event volunteers. Now, Terrell, have you ever mentored a team?
No, I've never mentored a team.
But you've still mentored thousands and thousands and thousands of First participants by being a head ref at the events and doing it in such a gracious, professional way. How did you get involved with First?
Well, about 13 years ago, I was asked to do crowd control at the First Regional in South Carolina, First Palmetto Regional. And the volunteer coordinator came to me and asked if I'd be interested in being a referee. Well, I couldn't turn her down, and so I decided I'd be a referee, and I've been refereeing ever since.
So how many years?
13 years.
13 years of refereeing. I know you're the Palmetto head ref, and you've also refereed in some pretty interesting places.
Mexico, Sydney, North Carolina, Georgia, and championship.
And championship is always interesting. If you could give one piece of advice to team members who are watching tonight as a head ref, what would it be?
Read the rules, read the rules, read the rules.
All right, you heard it from Terrell. Read the rules, read the rules, read the rules. Thanks for everything you do. You're a great role model at First, man. Positive, positive. He is worthy. He is worthy. I'm going to toss it back to Kate now. She's standing with another longtime mentor. Kate?
Thank you, Blair. So we have found Kathy Retzi. Kathy is not only here as a mentor tonight, she is also here as a supplier and sponsor. So Kathy works for SAPA, and SAPA has been a very generous donor to the First Robotics Competition over the last few years. Kathy, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support.
Oh, we love being here. Thanks so much for having us.
So my first question for you, Kathy, is how did you get involved in the First Robotics Competition?
I actually had a customer over at GM, Ken Patton. He's a Woody Flowers winner. And he was talking to me about First, and he said, oh, you have to get involved with this, you have to get involved. So he set me up with a team, and that was 14 years ago, and I've been working with teams ever since. I love it.
Well, congratulations and thank you. That's a great history. Now, I have a question for you. We're celebrating mentors tonight. Are there mentors who played a particular role in your life or career?
There were no women mentors that came ahead of me. I was, for a long time, I was the only woman in a group of 200 engineers. But that's why Mary Barra at GM is so important to women engineers. We're really keeping an eye on her, and we're cheering her on.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great resource. Now, are there particular things about her that you think resonate well?
I think that she gets along with everyone, and she has that professionalism, and so we're really cheering for her.
Great. Now, how is the relationship with First and SAPA has been good, and we are so happy to have you guys on board. Can you tell me more about that relationship and how that got started and kind of continues?
Sure. I changed jobs a couple of years ago and started working for SAPA Extrusions. And when you look around at all the robots, you can tell that they're all extrusions. And so my boss that I'm working for now knew that I was very involved in First, and he said this would be a great match. That everybody's already using our extrusions, they just don't know it. So we set that up within our company. And the second thing that we had issues with was hiring people that were ready for the workforce. And so First allows us to get into the high schools, work with those people, and get them ready for the workforce. So it's a good partnership.
I agree, and I'm very glad that you made it up here to New Hampshire tonight. Thank you so much. Have a happy kickoff. Have a great build season, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to get back over to Blair, see who he has found.
And I'm standing here with a mentor from Hall of Fame Team 365, the Mo team. This is Brian West. Brian, happy kickoff.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So Mo is a role model team that's a Hall of Fame team. What do you guys do on that team to keep the magic?
Well, that's special, and we can't divulge that, but I think it's the passion of all the mentors, and we want to see successful kids, and it is the next generation we're teaching, so I think that's what really drives us is the future.
And somehow Mo always seems to have a lot of fun. I've been at a lot of events where Mo is, and some of them have honestly been deafening. There's a lot of passion on that team. How do you keep the team so energized over the course of the year?
Well, we have noisemakers, and over time, some of them get banned. We just keep trying. That's an important lesson for everybody: is never give up. If you want something, you just go for it, and you'll probably end up having a lot of fun in the meantime.
And as a veteran mentor, if there was one piece of advice you could give other mentors, what would it be?
Never give up. Keep prototyping things. Just keep the juices flowing. Never settle on something. Always look outside the box, basically.
And Mo does that from the color scheme on down, baby. Thanks for coming to the Founders. Thanks for dropping by. Happy kickoff.
Happy kickoff. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, Brian. And now, we mentioned a little present unveil earlier. It's now my pleasure to send it back to Kate, and she's there with Frank. Kate?
Thank you, Blair. I am here with Frank Merrick. He's the director of the First Robotics Competition. Many of you probably know him from events or his blog. But anyway, we're here tonight. Frank, are we ready for kickoff tomorrow?
I am so ready for kickoff tomorrow, I can't tell you. The team's been working really hard to get everything ready. We've got a great game, I think, for the teams. I'm just completely excited. I think the teams and the community are just going to love the game. Really some great things happening tomorrow. Very excited about it.
I share that with you. Now, you said in your blog that you're going to share something that's in the kickoff tomorrow, a special present for the teams. What's up with that?
All right, what we have for the teams tomorrow, or every team tomorrow in their kit, is going to be receiving a copy of this book, First Robots Behind the Scenes. It's written by Vince Wazinski and Stephanie Slizicki. What it does is it goes over the design, the manufacturing control for lots of the great robots from last year's game. I think the teams are going to get some great ideas from this, some beautiful photography, some beautiful layouts. They're going to learn a lot picking up this. I think it also something great that they could show to their sponsors, say, hey, this is what the kind of designs we may be coming up with. So yeah, it's all good.
It is a great book, and every single team is going to get one of those in their kits?
Every single team is going to be getting one of those, yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that information. There you have it, the present and one of the presents in your kit tomorrow. Enjoy. With that news, we're going to go back over to Blair, who is with the authors of the book. Blair?
I am here with the authors of the book. This is Vince and Stephanie. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Blair. So let's talk a little bit about the book. First of all, what prompted the writing of the book?
Well, there have been so many advancements in manufacturing technology lately, and there's an abundance of teams that are taking advantage of them, and we really wanted to get the word out and share with the rest of the FIRST community some of the options that are out there.
Now, it's a thick book. It's a dense book. It has lots of pictures and information of lots of teams. How did you get all of the information? How did you compile it all?
It was really tricky, but we have the teams to thank for all of that. The teams submitted the information, they submitted the pictures, they submitted the documentation, and then we got to sort through it. And we took the best examples from all the teams that submitted, put it together in the chapters that cover design, CNC cutting, CNC mills, 3D printing, sensors, and automation. So we have 5 exemplars from each of those areas in the book. But another neat thing, it's not just that, it tells the story of FIRST. So there's little vignettes of the impact of FIRST on teams throughout the world.
Very cool. So were there any interesting stories that came up while you were doing the research?
I would say one of my most favorite parts about this book was the inclusion of other countries in the book. We've got teams representing Israel, Canada, Mexico, and the United States in it.
So truly an international book. So you've written 2 books prior to this one. What makes this book different?
I think it's really the approach. The prior books focused on teams that won awards, and this focuses on the technology that's used to design the robots, to build the robots, and to construct them. A couple years ago, Dean twisted our arms and said, hey, I got another idea for you. 2 years later, it ends up in the book. That's the way things work around here.
Now, the book will be in the kit of parts tomorrow, so every team will receive one, but let's say you wanted to get another one. Where would you find it?
Do you remember? We're not involved in that part, but Blair, I think you're our sales agent here.
www.marketplaceforfirst.com www.marketplaceforfirst.com. You can buy the book there starting tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by, you guys. Happy kickoff.
Thank you, you too.
Hold strong, Blair.
I will hold strong. The stronghold is coming right at us. All right, we've heard from a lot of veteran voices tonight. You're done. You get out of here. We've heard from a lot of veteran voices tonight. We want to hear from a rookie voice. Kate, who do you have?
Yeah, that's always a great perspective, Blair, to talk to people who are new to this event, new to the program. So we've got two mentors here. We've got Tracy and Wayne from Team 5902 in Portsmouth. Tracy, I want to start from you. Can you tell us some of your first impressions so far?
This is unbelievable. It's surreal. His house is amazing, but just the energy in this room is unbelievable.
And I would almost say kind of intoxicating and easy to catching.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes you want to go out and do it right now, tomorrow morning.
Well, I've got good news for you.
I know, that's what I hear.
Well, Wayne has been involved with First for 5 years, I think you told me, with First Lego League teams?
Yes, so we've coached First Lego League teams for 5 years, and then we decided that we wanted to offer the high school students something to do, and they rallied and came to us and wanted to do FRC.
So what percentage of your team were FLL participants before?
Probably about 80-85% of the students on our team are past FLL students.
Wow, that's great. Now, Kate, why don't you talk to Tracy about the interesting partnership they have between the school and New Heights?
Yeah, I heard that that's pretty unique. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so we're really lucky. We have a great relationship with our schools, with the entire school district at Portsmouth. And so we actually have built a pipeline with the school district, and we start in 5th grade. We get the kids really engaged and interested in STEM through robotics. We get them into competition in the middle school, and then now we're actually getting that final piece of the pipeline and going to have the robotics program this year in our high school. So we're lucky we have that kind of relationship with them.
Yeah, that's very valuable.
Very supportive and very energetic about it.
And what has your team done to prepare for the season so far?
Well, Wayne, I think you can give a better explanation on that.
Sure, so we've had a couple of meetings. We've kind of planned out our pit area, talked with some other teams. Dover Shockwave gave us a lot of help, and kind of just narrowed down what different people on the team want to do and what part they want to be a part of.
All right, that was a shout out to Shockwave from Dover?
Dover, yep.
Okay, so thank you. I mean, one of the things we talk about at First is gracious professionalism, and each team is trying to help the other team, so you've received some of that already. If you could ask one question of a veteran mentor, what would it be?
So I think the one question that we did ask and that we suggested to ask was, in your first year, what do you wish you would have known?
Well, next year you'll know.
Yes, exactly.
Well, enjoy the kickoff, you guys. Thanks for dropping by. Good luck with the rookie season. It's a lot to chew on, I know, but good luck with the team.
Thanks for being here. Good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
We are just about ready to toss it to the podium. We got the speeches about to start. Obviously, this place is busy, busy, busy. Kate?
But first, before we do that, I want to thank all of our guests for sharing their insight, their wisdom, and really how great this first community is. They've been sharing what we've seen from them is how passionate, creative, and supportive that this first community really is. We have great mentors.
We have 125 events going on all over the world. There's a lot of passion for First around the world. Thank you for joining us tonight. Happy kickoff, everybody. Thank you, mentors. And now we're going to toss it to the podium where Dean Kamen is standing by. Dean.
Hello. Hello, everybody. This is a pretty rowdy crowd. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. So, I guess the first most obvious thing to point out, I'm Dean. And while to some of the people that might have been around for the last 25 years that we've done this, you might think this is actually a slightly smaller event than in the past. Truth be told, for the first decade or so, at the kickoff event, everybody in the world that was at the kickoff was in my house. Now, we have kickoff events going on tonight in 86 countries. There will be 126 regional and district events throughout the season. And the entire board of directors of FIRST, in fact, no longer comes here. They stay with their local communities and participate in their local kickoffs. We do have, however, one board member of FIRST, who for many years was the chair of FIRST and is still on the board, John Abley. Thank you, John. And they've made my life a lot easier. I'm only going to thank tonight the people that specifically are the people that essentially are the sponsors of the kickoff event. And they would be Comcast, NBC Universal, NASA, and NVIDIA, all of whom have representation here. So thank you for making this event happen. Now I get to do something that's particularly fun and an honor. I get to introduce 3 very special speakers, all who come from the world of government leadership. I think most of you know we're primarily volunteer-driven, and many of the sponsors and many of the mentors are from the tech community around the country. But it takes people in government to make anything really scale like this. It takes support from every leg of the table here. And by the way, it's not on these cards, but I met a woman, Karen Saunders. Where are you? So it turns out over the years we've gotten more and more support from the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard. And they're all represented here, and they give us great scholarships to their academies. And I think the military has realized, like everybody else in this country, the most valuable asset they need are smart, focused, passionate kids that know how to communicate and cooperate and work hard. And they're competing with the universities and everybody else that's part of FIRST. But I met somebody here who works directly for the Secretary of Defense, and she said, by the way, Dean, this year the Department of Defense, separate from those little branches, is directly supporting 650 teams or so, with 173 outside the country. And just to set the stage for introducing 3 government-type leaders, some of you are aware that we're in the season where New Hampshire has a lot of political stuff going on. Good, clean fun. So to show you that no matter how dysfunctional that crowd can be, I'm going to read you a letter I got this afternoon from an old friend. Last week, we were planning some of the things we're going to do, and you'll see the theme this year, at least for me, with respect to FIRST, is really growing it internationally. And so I called a guy who really has got a very international movement. In fact, it's called the Clinton Global. Anyway, I had given him an update on what we were doing. He didn't realize that the event was tonight, but I was sitting at dinner a couple of nights ago, and you can't make this up, and my cell phone rings, and it's President Clinton. And I gave him an update, and he said, yeah, it's fantastic. And he said, I can't be there, but I got this letter this afternoon, which I thought I'd read in the spirit of getting international and maybe intranational cooperation. Congratulations to everyone gathered in New Hampshire and across the globe for the 2016 FIRST Robotics Kickoff. I want to thank FIRST's founder, Dean Kamen, and applaud all the students, mentors, volunteers, and sponsors for being part of such a rewarding and worthwhile competition. I have long admired FIRST as a commitment to bringing young people of diverse backgrounds and perspectives together through the universal language of science, engineering, and technology. I will always remember welcoming first competition winners to the White House during my presidency, and I'm proud that what began with just 28 teams has grown to include more than 1 million students in 83 countries. Your growth is a testament to the excitement you've inspired by empowering eager young minds to address some of the most important challenges of our time. I'm also grateful to FIRST for emphasizing the value of cooperation in competition. In a world that is increasingly interdependent, our future will depend on creative problem solvers who recognize that competition is not a zero-sum game. When we work together to advance the best ideas, everyone wins. I commend the effort and attention each of you will give to this year's competition, and I wish you all, and your robots, the best of luck for this exciting season. Best, Bill Clinton. So now, in the spirit of government leaders that I think, no matter what their other opinions might be, have consistently supported FIRST with great passion, I'm going to introduce our governor and both of our senators. Our governor has been involved, I think, the first night she was governor. When she was first elected, she had a problem. She had just gotten elected, and there was some kind of inaugural ball or something, which they scheduled without my permission. And we had the first kickoff. The governor, showing good judgment, showed up at our event. So Governor, will you please come and say hello to the FIRST community?
Well, thank you, Dean. And it wouldn't feel like a new year without this event and without the kickoff tomorrow morning. So thank you, Dean, for always showing us how to start out a really great year. I'm delighted also to be here with Senator Shaheen and Ayotte, and I congratulate you both on the recognition that I think Dean has planned for you in a minute or two. We are doing a lot in New Hampshire right now to focus our whole community, our education system, along with our business leaders, along with our families and our communities, on the importance of something that Dean came in and FIRST have been focusing on for a long time, which is the importance not only of STEM education and STEM excellence, but the importance of partnering, whether it's businesses and schools, families and schools, the importance of partnering and collaborating in order to raise a whole generation of creative problem solvers. So to the sponsors who are here tonight, to the businesses and mentors who are here tonight, to the teachers and the students who are either here or are watching and getting ready for tomorrow's kickoff, thank you. Because more than anything, what FIRST has become is not a program. We were just talking about this upstairs. FIRST is a movement. It is a movement that really reflects who we are as Granite Staters, as Americans. It's not just good enough, although it's a prerequisite, to be good in the technical subjects that STEM recognizes: science, technology, engineering, and math. It is also incredibly important to be the kind of gracious professionals that FIRST teaches its young people to be. We will solve problems in this state and in this country and around the globe when we collaborate, when we recognize what is best in each other. You can see the reflection of the kind of progress that that kind of focus and collaboration makes in all the exhibits around Dean's house tonight. You know, a generation of wheelchairs from a couple of hundred years ago at this point, and think how far technology has brought us. And that, again, reflects the ethos of FIRST. We in the Granite State combine individualism and community like nowhere else. And that is, in fact, what FIRST is doing too. It is recognizing the strength and the talent of each and every individual, the potential of each and every individual, but knowing that that potential and that talent gets leveraged at its best only when we come together as a community in a way that honors each individual, but strengthens those individuals by connecting. So I thank you all for what you have done to make this evening possible. I especially want to thank Dean and the entire team at FIRST and all the mentors and the business partners who have stuck with it for so long. Well before you could get the New Hampshire legislature maybe interested in funding a piece of this, you were advocating for it. And you were advocating for it because it is an essential component of who we are as Granite Staters and Americans, and is what will allow us to lead moving forward. So congratulations tonight to everybody. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy tomorrow. I can't wait for the kickoff tomorrow. I will be there bright and early, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Take care.
So a long time ago in a faraway place, we had a different governor, Governor Jeanne Shaheen. She's no longer our governor. She's now our senator. As governor, she came every year. I won't tell the story of climbing up from the... You've been up this driveway this year. It's a good year. There's not a lot of snow. This governor walked from the bottom of that driveway here in a blizzard one year. She's been our senator since 2009. By that point, she already knew how powerful FIRST can be for the schools that are lucky enough to be able to support teams. Starting in that year, I asked the senator to help us let the federal government follow the lead of what's going on in New Hampshire. And she started working on a bill which became a law, but it has to do two more things, and I always get them confused, appropriations and something else. But I'm sure it'll all work. In any event, authorization, I think, in one order or another. Anyway, she started working on that, and a few weeks ago, at the end of last year, it became a law, and it will allow teams from schools all over the country to apply for significant grants, and if the law does what it's supposed to do, and I'm counting on our two senators to make sure it does, it should dramatically reduce the burden, especially for schools that may not be as lucky as some of the ones that have taken advantage of FIRST over the last couple of decades. But my mission has always been that FIRST should be available to every kid in this country. I think when I started saying that, it always seemed whimsical to some people. And I think, well, every school has a football team, a basketball. They have all sorts of things that are fun to do, but unlikely to lead to careers. And most of those teams take a lot more money to operate than a FIRST team, although they do have the advantage that kids can break their necks and knees and things like that. But anyway, it seems to me it's hard to change a culture. It's hard to make what seems obvious and simple, and I'm sure it will in retrospect, that of course kids in an institution of learning in the 21st century ought to have access to something that is both as much fun but as valuable as FIRST compared to some of the other things. But I hope each of these senators who has been incredible as a tool to turn that dream into a reality will at least make some comment, because without the two of them from both sides of the aisle, it would not happen. So I'm going to introduce now two senators, a Democrat and a Republican, and prove that cooperation works. So the first of those senators that's been for as long as I've been in New Hampshire, a great supporter of FIRST, Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
So, Dean, I like it when you tell that story about my walking up the hill, because every year the walk gets longer and the snow gets deeper. So it's a good story. I won't reinforce the obvious point that the cooperation that's going on here in New Hampshire has all women as part of it. Maybe we need more women in Congress so we can get along. But it's really exciting to see all of you here and to see what has happened to FIRST. And like many of you in this room, I have seen it grow from those 28 teams to where it is now with 86 countries. You got to tell President Clinton it's 86 countries now, not 83, and 46,000 teams, and so 46,000 schools. So that is very exciting. And since I've been a senator, since 2009, every year I've come here and talked about the legislation that we've introduced in Washington to try and make sure that every school in America could apply for funding to make sure that they could work with FIRST and participate in FIRST robotics competition. And I am here tonight to tell you that we finally passed that legislation in Washington, and it is signed into law. Thank you. And as Dean said, it was a real bipartisan effort, and Senator Ayotte and I both worked on this. The Every Student Succeeds Act, which reauthorized the elementary and secondary education law and changed No Child Left Behind, about time, by the way, was passed 85-12 in the Senate, passed overwhelmingly in the House, and there are two pieces that I think are really important when we think about focusing on STEM and on FIRST. There is a section that provides for a grant program that makes every school in the country able to apply for funding to do a FIRST program, and it focuses that funding on schools that are most in need, and that's really critical. The other piece deals with after-school programming, which is another place where there's a real opportunity to focus on STEM and get kids excited about STEM and about things like FIRST. And so there is a grant program that does that too, that allows schools to apply for funding for those after-school programs that are so critical. So we haven't gotten everywhere we need to be, but we have made a big step forward, and it's really because of the work of Dean and Brian Tuohy and all of the folks in Washington and all of you who have advocated for such a long time to make sure that every school and every kid in this country can be part of a FIRST competition and what that means for their future and their chances of success. So congratulations to all of you, and thank you.
So, by the way, New Hampshire is particularly blessed. We have yet another senator who sees the light. And I can assure you that she did a lot of work to help turn that bill, that dream, into a law. But I would tell you, it may not be entirely appropriate as a focus or relevant at this first event to mention something else, but not to embarrass you, Senator. But I got to know a little bit more about Senator Kelly Ayotte, who's an attorney, by the way, so I know she knows a little about the Constitution. And sometime over the last couple of years, not that any of the FIRST students want to go create new solutions to old problems, not that any of you want to invent, although the number of patents issued while still in high school and now in junior high school to kids on first teams is just fantastic. But over the last couple of years, there have been movements by people that think the patent system is kind of cramping their style. If you're a big company and you've got all the other leverage, somebody coming up with a patent might get in your way. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution is one sentence long. And it's right there in the first article. And you don't have to be a lawyer to read it or understand it. It requires that the government of the United States protect the ideas of inventors for a limited time by giving them exclusive rights to those ideas. In a very complicated way that only lawyers can do, there was a pretty subtle but nearly effective movement to undermine Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution. I think it would have been perhaps subtly, but long-term, one of the most disastrous policy changes that's happened in this country in my lifetime. Think about it. Government has really good ways to tax you, really good ways to collect the money spent. Think of a way that the government creates wealth, creates it. I'd say Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8. It's sort of the impetus for capitalism and good ideas and competition and risk-taking. Anyway, I called Senator Kelly Ayotte and said, Senator, I might have been begging. I might have said, Kelly, please help. This is not what it seems. And I think we're in trouble if this goes forward. I was told by a lot of people, nobody seems to even worry about this little thing that's quietly in the night about to change. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that our senator shined a bright light on what could have been a very bad piece of legislation and managed to make sure it didn't happen. I don't think we're out of the woods. I think they'll be back. But anyway, again, this you might think is not a night to talk about that, and I hope that the senator will talk about our commitment, which has been long and real, about FIRST. She's got kids that need this program. But I would just at least like all of you to say, because I doubt she will be saying it herself, that she is really committed to innovation and to a lot of the things that I think we're trying to create an army of kids to embrace. And I've gotten to know her as a pretty tough person. I wouldn't want to be on the other side of... Anyway, Senator Ayotte, please come up and share some wisdom with this crowd.
Well, I am so thrilled to be here tonight. I'm honored to be here with Senator Shaheen and to work with her, to follow her leadership that she showed as governor, but that we did have a huge accomplishment this year. And now we got to make sure that it happens, but that every school in this country can apply to have a first team if you don't have a first team. And we know that every student, as Dean has said, needs a first team. And so tonight I brought my two, I hope, will be first team players here, my kids, so they could experience the enthusiasm of what really Dean conceived as an incredible person who has made a difference to see what we need for kids in this country and what we need to make sure that as we look at the 21st century, that it truly is an American century when we think about the new ideas, the things that are going to be developed by our children with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and what it takes to work together to solve problems and to make it happen. And it all starts with a first team. It all starts with working together with your fellow classmates around a problem and trying to solve it. And it all starts with the mentors, those of you who are here, who I know many of you year after year have stepped up to mentor the teams and to make such a difference in the lives and show the excitement that these kids have for innovation, for building the robot, for solving the problems that what FIRST does. It is something that gives them experience of a lifetime, and we know that because the first graduates that come back and what they have accomplished is tremendous. So I look forward to continuing to work with Senator Shaheen and Dean to make sure that every school, FIRST in New Hampshire, has a FIRST robotics team and FIRST is involved in. And then, of course, because it started here with your vision, Dean, and then the whole country and the world, because that is how, first of all, if you think about if we applied the principles in the world, around the world with what FIRST brings, we wouldn't just solve all the problems and the technology and the science problems, the energy problems, the environment, protecting the environment, all of those things we want to solve. But think about how we cooperate with each other in a better way. Think about how I think the more we have FIRST teams, it's about conflict resolution too. And the world is a better place the more FIRST we have. So I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who have been involved as a mentor, a sponsor, involved in supporting FIRST in any way. And Dean, thank you for just keeping us energized with your passion and your vision, because you keep this going and really you show us the way. So thank you.
So now, in the spirit of recognizing some of the people that make it all work, we have a couple of special awards to recognize some appropriate people. The guy that ought to do that, I used to introduce him as our rookie new president. Those days are over, Don. But as most of you, I think, already know, we've got no longer the new, but I'd now say the incredibly effective, substantial leadership of FIRST. He tends to be a little shy and quiet. I won't point out he's a PhD out of MIT, but he's a guy that's run major tech businesses. And you can send him an email, and I'd encourage you to do this anytime, day or night, anytime, day or night. 3 or 4 in the morning, it slows down a little so you'll get a quicker response. But I'd like the guy that's at the helm now of FIRST to come up and help make all this happen. Don Bassi.
My wife is here tonight, and I assure you she will tell you, do not send me any more emails. If you haven't picked it up already from the earlier remarks, 2015 was a banner year in that we really saw an amazing bipartisan support in Washington to help education here in the United States, and with a very common commitment to making programs like FIRST and other after-school STEM engagement programs accessible and available to kids in every school, regardless of economic background. And as a Granite Stater, I am incredibly proud of the leadership that our 2 senators showed in helping make that happen. It was a long fight. They encouraged a lot of their colleagues and did an amazing job in that regard. And so I would like to invite Senator Shaheen and Senator Ayotte to join me and Dean again. We've got a little token of our appreciation on behalf of FIRST. As Dean did appropriately comment, now that it's signed into law, we do have these little processes called budgeting and appropriations to work through. So we will continue to be close and good friends and count on their support until we really make that available to everyone. So pretty much everything we do at First is about the kids, and I think we all know that's really the energizing part of First. So I hope everyone's going to join us tomorrow when there's more kids in the room, and it will be like that magical morning when they get to unwrap the gift, and this year's gift is a doozy. It's going to be so much fun. I promise. But tonight actually is the one day all year that it's about the adults, and it's really about the mentors, the secret sauce of First. The people that over the next 6 to 12 to 15 weeks will put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours helping our kids, helping them grow, serving as leaders and role models, coaches, and somebody whose shoulder to cry on. So tonight is really this amazing opportunity to recognize and to thank all of the mentors, so many of whom are in the room here tonight. And I don't know if it's just pure serendipity, but I did come across the fact that on Monday of this week, Monday, January 4th of this week, President Obama signed a declaration making January 2016 the National Mentoring Month. And I had to think he had First in mind when he did that. So this month is for all of you. So I get the privilege of introducing three amazing people who know a little bit about mentoring. The first is one of our greatest longtime sponsors with NASA, who has been involved. NASA has been a huge sponsor and supporter of First for more than 20 years. They help with supporting teams. They help support events. They have mobile machine shops that go around to our different events. But most importantly, NASA has embraced a mentoring culture inside of NASA, really to encourage their employees, their team members to get involved and to participate with First teams. And Dave Lavery, whom many of you know, who in his day job is the executive responsible for solar system exploration, which seems like a pretty big job, especially this year when they kind of discovered that there might actually be flowing water on Mars once in a while. But I think the most fun part of his job is being head of the NASA Robotics Alliance. And Dave not only is a great supporter and sponsor and finds money and all that kind of stuff to support it, but Dave really walks the talk. And this season, which by the way, this is the 25th season of the First Robotics Competition, kind of a key milestone. But equally impressive, this is Dave's 21st season personally mentoring Team 116 from Herndon, Virginia. As Dave said to me today, it's a little eye-opening when you've been mentoring a team longer than the team members have been alive. So with that, please join me in welcoming longtime great First supporter, Dave Lavery.
Yeah, as Don said, that I crossed that threshold a couple of years ago where I did suddenly realize that I've been doing this longer than everybody on the team, and that really does sort of scare you when you get to that point. I just want to take a couple of minutes and give a message specifically to the mentors who are here and who are watching, and in particular focus on the folks who are new mentors to the process to help you sort of understand what to expect as of tomorrow morning and what you've gotten yourself into. And I sat there and realized, sort of looking back on my own personal experience, what really had gone on and what had happened. And it really comes down to sort of a 5-step mentoring life cycle that you're going to go through. And it will happen to the new mentors without a doubt. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, the veteran mentors will also recognize it still happens year 2, year 3, year 21. The 5 steps of the mentoring life cycle start off with self-doubt. You're going to see a problem tomorrow, just like every problem you see in any professional workplace where you're in charge of a project, and the first thing you're going to realize is, I can't do this. I don't have a clue as to what I'm supposed to do for this. I don't know how to organize the team. I don't know how to approach the problem. I don't know how to talk to the kids and whether they're going to respect me. I don't know how to talk to my co-mentors, whether they'll respect me. I can't even get a catalog from McMaster-Carr. How am I supposed to do this? How do I even begin with any of this? You're going to struggle through this. The one thing I can tell you is you'll get past that. You'll get to step 2, despair. That's when you go from, I can't do this, to, I know I can't do this. You'll suddenly realize, after understanding the problem, this really is beyond you. You have never done anything like this before. This is beyond the experience you have as a professional in terms of design and engineering and problem solving, but also probably in terms of team building, organizing a group around something that is an impossible task in a month and a half. And you've got to solve this and make it happen and actually go from a blank sheet of paper to a completed product in 6.5 weeks. That's not a reasonable problem. You know you can't do this, and you still can't get a catalog from McMaster-Carr. Step 3 is resignation. Not from the process, but rather the recognition that even though you don't know how to do this, you're going to. You have to. The simple reality is, if you don't, who else will? There are students, there are other mentors who are working with you, who are looking to you for guidance and for leadership. And the reality is there's a need there that you are fulfilling. And that gap, that need, is real. And you're there to do it, you're there to fill it, you're there to step in and take on that leadership role and show the students and your other mentors really what their capabilities are by example. And again, if you don't do it, who will? If someone else is available to do that job, they would have filled it already. You're needed, you're necessary, you're required, you're basically the heart of the whole process. And you'll realize if you can't get one from McMaster-Carr, you can borrow somebody else's catalog. Step 4 is excitement. You finally get to the point of saying, I'm going to do this. I don't know how. I don't have a clue as to what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to solve all the problems, but I am going to find a way. You're going to take a wheel out of the kit of parts. You're going to take an axle, and you're going to realize the two do not fit together. They were specifically designed to not fit together. They were chosen for that reason. But you're going to find a way to modify one, the other, or both, or throw them both away and get two pieces that do fit, and you're going to use those to solve the problem. And your students are going to come along with you. They're going to look at you holding a wheel and an axle and say, how do we make this fit? You're going to say, I don't know, but we're going to figure it out together, and we're going to solve it and make it happen. And the number of times I hear mentors tell equivalent stories to that as I go around, I talk to them, team to team to team, is overwhelming. We all are going to go through that process. And finally, you're going to get excited. You're going to be at the point of saying, I am going to do this. I'm going to make all this happen. And you're going to be looking forward to the challenge of the wheel and the axle that don't fit together, and realizing that the best solution for that is throw them away and buy your own that fit. And the neat part is that when you get to that point, you're going to suddenly realize that the students who have been looking to you for leadership have, at that point, already accepted it. They recognize you for what you're able to bring to the problem, not necessarily recognizing you for what you're doing specifically for them, but rather for the example that you're providing and showing them this is how a professional acts, this is how a professional behaves, and this is how we solve problems together. And the best example you're going to give them is you're going to write a letter to McMaster-Carr saying, when I asked for a catalog from NASA and you wrote back and said my organization was too small and I didn't deserve a catalog, that I would take the business of my $18 billion organization elsewhere. And you wrote that on the back of the blank page from an MSC catalog and sent it to them. You're going to recognize that, yeah, you can do this. And yes, that's a true story. One of the things you're going to do is, maybe not at that particular moment, but you're going to recognize that you're having, through that simple set of actions, an impact of the students that you worked with. The reason you got involved is going to happen organically. as you go through this process. You're going to affect these students in very, very positive, meaningful ways that you're probably not going to recognize at the time. I would ask you just to trust in the fact that it is going to happen, it's going to happen well. As was mentioned, I've been doing this for a while. I went back and I got in touch with some students I've worked with many years ago and asked them, looking back in retrospect at your experiences on the teams, what was the one lesson that you really took away? What's the thing that stands out in your entire time on the teams in your memory as the most often remembered, most recollected experience on your team? I got 4 of them that I thought were sort of interesting. Stephen told me that when I joined the team, I didn't even know what a 440 tap was. You guys taught me how to break 4 of them in one night. Not quite the answer I was looking for. Kyle told me, you guys taught me how to put Mentos into Coke and Diet Coke and orange soda, and look which one made the highest spurt out of the bottle. That's what he got out of working with robotics mentors. Okay, cool. Amanda's message, or the thing that she remembered the most from her entire experience on her team, working with her mentors, learning to count cards in blackjack on the bus on the way to championships. Again, not the lessons we thought we were teaching them, but they are the ones that they remembered. And Divya, when I asked her what was the thing that she remembered the most from the previous year, she remembered, or the one lesson that she took away was that Dave can eat a dozen donuts in the time it takes her to eat 2 Krispy Kremes. Again, I didn't think, looking for something that would sort of bolster the idea that I was having a professional impact on these students, that wasn't quite the set of messages that I thought I would get. But then I looked at where they were working and where their professions lay. And these are people who are working at Apple, Google, YouTube, SpaceX, NASA, GM, NASA, Pixar, NASA. And I realized, maybe that was their one memory of a specific event, but the message that they were getting out of the process was what was valuable and what obviously had an impact on them. And it wasn't because we were trying to impart that specifically, but rather simply through the example that you set, you will have an impact on these students. So as you're going through the self-doubt, the despair, the resignation, the excitement, remember that you will finally be at the stage of impact. The simple reality is you have a better chance of winning the Powerball lottery tomorrow night than you do of getting this wrong. The value is there. You won't see it at first. It'll take a while, but it's there, and your students are going to understand that when you talk to them a couple of years from now. So enjoy the process and what happens tomorrow.
I now know why we cannot get McMaster-Carr involved as a first sponsor. One of life's mysteries is solved. So FIRST has there's a lot of misunderstandings or misperceptions about FIRST. And when it comes to mentors, a lot of people have a perception that you have to be technical or you have to be an engineer to mentor a FIRST team. Anybody in the room maybe have that thought or that fear? Yeah. Maybe out in TV land? Nothing could be further from the truth. Teams need all sorts of mentors. They need business mentors, they need communication mentors, they need leadership mentors, they need fundraising mentors. Absolutely anybody can mentor a FIRST team. And I always tell people, especially with younger kids, if you can buy a pizza, you can mentor a FIRST Lego League team. So it really takes all types of folks. And one of the things that we as an organization need to get better at is how to embrace and encourage a whole wide host of people to get involved. Now, in a very twisted way, the following person I get to introduce is sort of a proof of that, but almost in the contrapositive or something like that. Next speaker is a professor emeritus in mechanical engineering from MIT. He has more technical knowledge in his pinky than I have in my entire body, and yet and has contributed to FIRST in so many ways on the technical front. And yet I think we all know what we know this person for is not just the technical stuff, but the amazing soft skills that he brings to FIRST. Values like gracious professionalism and cooperation. So the same way you don't have to be technical, there's a lot of ways to contribute in non-technical ways, and one of the most technical people I know does that all the time. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Woody Flowers, FIRST advisor to
Good evening. I have a confidential disclosure. You know those people that go watch the airports and see who's taking off and landing? The ones that discovered the CIA black sites? They started seeing Dean's plane recently. Landing and taking off from really unusual places. And I heard about it. I went to Dean and confronted him. And you know, he tried to stonewall. But he let slip a comment about a project that Frank Merrick and the Game Design Committee was working on. So I went immediately to Frank and confronted him. I said, what's going on? He tried to stonewall. I threatened waterboarding. It was awful. So after a while, I saw one of the Game Design Committee members wink at him, and I knew that there was something happening. So I started plying him with alcohol, and after a while, the pressure and the booze got to him, and Frank folded. He spilled the beans. So I took some notes because it's complicated. It turns out some of the very important people in the country had gotten together, and they were worried about this presidential primary season because stuff was not looking good, not gracious, not very professional. They were worried. One of the VIPs that was there had been to a FIRST event, and she had heard about gracious professionalism, and she told him about it. And they Googled gracious professionalism, found FIRST, and then found Dean, called him in, said, can FIRST fix the primary process? Now, you guys know Dean, sure, we can do it. And then he turned around and threw it directly to Frank and the Game Design Committee. He said, fix this. So Frank said, you know, look, it's got to work. FIRST always brings the best team forward. So slightly modifying the FIRST robotics competition process should lead to a logical, good selection of a presidential candidate. So what Frank didn't see coming was the incredible lobbying that was unleashed. It was amazing. They were lined up around the block. First ones in were the libertarians. They said, look, we've got a great plan. You just take the game manual and you throw out all the rules. Now, Frank and the Game Design Committee didn't like that. And then right after them came in the birthers. They wanted to tattoo a copy of birth certificate on every participant's body somewhere. That wasn't going to go anywhere. And then there was the National Rationalization Association, known as the NRA, and they wanted to put fully automatic weapons in the kit. And just to demonstrate how reasonable they were, they said, look, we concede no heat-seeking missiles would be allowed. Now, there were many other points of view. They were opposed, for example, by the Shoutbot group. They said no robot-to-robot contact under any circumstances. They proposed that during autonomous, the robots would come out like the Maui tribe in New Zealand and do a haka dance. And just after the haka dance was completed, the robots would face each other on midfield and shout at each other for 2 minutes. An applause meter would pick the winner. There were fringe groups. One of the groups had heard that during an emergency, we allow the teams to hit an abort button. They were having none of that. No abort, no matter if the robot's exploding. So they had another proposal. They said, we will have a shut everything down now button, and we will call it the cruise control button. there was one group that strongly wanted to influence how the kits were distributed. They wanted to make sure that everything was equal. So not only the kits identical, but the gender balance in the teams had to be identical. The weight of all the team members had to be the same. And just to make sure it's all flat, with frontal lobotomies, they would level the intellectual field so that everyone had the same equipment. It was contentious because there was another group that wanted to do it another way. They wanted to give 1% of the teams 90% of the resources. And the 1%ers couldn't work on the robots, but they could hire the others to build the robot. And they were going to be called the robot creators. Their control system was completely different. They were going to have a monopoly stick. So there's just one stick for the whole event. As usual, there was a counter proposal, a socialist stick, where everybody there would have a joystick and the robot would move with the average of all the input signals. The anti-sciencers showed up. They said, we don't want any of these laws of the universe stuff. We want to make up our own rules. So F will not equal M times A. It'll be M plus A. And pi, let's just round it to 3. It's simpler that way. For some reason, all that stuff led to a great big discussion about the championship not being on the Einstein field, but either on the Jefferson field or the Hamilton field. Couldn't figure out why that was such a contentious thing. So it was long and complicated, but after a while, the GDC came up with a set of rules, and just to give you a skim of how it starts, the first event will be in Iowa, and it won't be an actual competition. The locals are just going to get together and talk about what might happen if they did compete. And it's thought that it might be chaotic, so it's going to be called the Iowa Chaoticists. And then the second event, right here in New Hampshire. And in that event, in order to compete, each robot must be able to recognize and give the first name of every voting person in New Hampshire. So additional memory is going to be required for the facial recognition systems in the robots. Now, a lot of pundits have begun to look at this, and they're a little concerned because the draft in the first process causes teams to pick their partners based on gracious professionalism and trust. And there's some concern that politics and trust are not going to go together well, so we're a little worried about how this is going to work out. So I decided to consult an oracle. Hey Siri, are politics and gracious professionalism compatible? Whoa! I didn't know Siri could speak that way. Anyway, I think we're back to the original plan. I was throwing out some old 2x2 slides from the first kickoffs 26 years ago or whatever, and came across many memories, and one of them was a slide where I had written, societies get the best of what they celebrate. I still believe that is true. I think through the first community and first mentors, we have a good chance of creating a couple of generations of people who understand the laws of nature, who know enough about themselves and society to make things work, and who have a sophisticated model of fairness. If we do that, we will have changed the process. Thank you.
I only moved to New Hampshire about 3 years ago, and people warned me politics is really pervasive up here, so I guess. Our next speaker is a young man by the name of Camilo Gonzalez. He is a senior at Revere High School and is captain of Team 125, the Neutrons. Of course, we invited him here tonight to share a student's perspective on the importance of mentoring. But as I was reading about Camilo and learning about his background, I'll tell you what I found. So his mentor told me that Camilo teaches Java programming to all the new students who join their first team every year so that they can immediately be up to speed and contribute during build season. He coaches and mentors 2 First LEGO League teams, and he's developed a program to help train Boston school teachers on how to bring FIRST programs into their school. To me, the message was really clear. You're never too young to start mentoring. Please join me in welcoming Camilo to the stage.
All right. During my 4 years in FIRST, my team has won numerous awards, from winning regionals and district events, all the way to winning chairman's awards and being finalists in our division. Winning awards is fun and all, but it's a lot of work. Our mentors spend sleepless nights with us, programming, designing, and building our robot. They try to teach us as much as they can in the process. For instance, how to use power tools, as I'm a programmer. I know how to use drills now, don't worry. The robots and engineering are why most of us actually joined FIRST. And without all of that effort and sacrifice that our mentors put in, we could have never accomplished the things that we have done. But to me, personally, the FIRST experience is not just about robots. It's actually not even about winning. It's about giving back and having relationships with our mentors and students. We mentor younger students. We give back to our community. We try to promote STEM at all levels, and we also try to promote the message of FIRST. The quality time I have spent with my mentors, getting to know them and they getting to know me, is valuable to me. What actually matters is all the time I spend with them, the moments spent together, getting to know each other, and making a difference in the world, in our lives. Today, the day before kickoff, while most students and mentors are eager to find out what the 2016 challenge is, I would like to take this moment to appreciate all of the mentors in this room, and we're not here, for shaping future leaders and for continuing to do so in the upcoming season. I would also like to take a chance to remind everyone that winning a gold medal is not everything and does not mean success. The small things you go through, the experiences that you will about to begin going through starting tomorrow, and the changes that you make in the world around you is what actually matters. And that's actually what should make you happy, all right? Last thing is, I thank you all, and also thank you to my mentors who are here, Josh, Brendo, and Christine, and good luck tomorrow.
I don't know about you, but every time I meet FIRST kids, I only wish I had my act together like half as much when I was that age. So now to close out the evening, please join me in welcoming Dean back to the stage and saying a huge round of thanks for having the 1,000 closest friends over to his house for the evening. So, Dean, thank you.
So as anybody who's not a rookie knows, you never get away without homework. I think over the years, each year I try to focus on something else we could do to raise the bar, to increase our rate of growth, our impact, the different kinds of organizations around the world that we need to reach. Some homework, some years we focused on getting more media attention or political support or passing laws. I think over the last couple of years, it's occurred to me that our alumni has gotten enormous, and we've been asking them to unite their current state of life with FIRST activities, and it's been working. But I think this year's homework is going to be directed at the students themselves. There aren't too many of them in the room tonight, but this thing is being broadcast all over, and we'll repeat this homework throughout this season. I think we have an enormous amount of talent, energy, capability. You just heard a student talk about mentoring other students and teachers, for that matter, in the skill sets of Java. So this year's homework will be to get students at the FIRST robotics competition level, the high school level, to adopt schools and the younger grades in their community, create new teams. It used to be First Lego League and Junior First Lego League. It is now First Lego League and First Lego League Junior. But I think if all the teams that we have in FIRST Robotics would go out into their community and start building that pyramid of the younger kids that can start getting inspired by science, technology, coding at a younger age, we can grow even faster than we've been growing. I've been told that the FIRST staffers, always way more efficient and organized than I am, in that regard have helped make this homework easier to do. They tell me if you email to Deans, D-E-A-N-S, H-W, homework, at firstinspires.org, you will receive a whole bunch of information about who to contact in your area to start the process of building FIRST Lego League teams. I will work throughout this season to find ways to recognize and reward in some fun, cooperation kind of way, to reward the teams and the communities that do the best job of that homework by looking to see how much we've increased our base by the end of this season by using the talents and skills and passion of our FIRST Robotics students to build the FIRST Lego League. And I'm pretty sure that most of you will also find that you learn the most yourself by trying to teach other people. It really is a win-win. So that's the official homework. I had no idea how relevant and great and funny everybody would be tonight. I think that should give you some sense of how extraordinary the FIRST community is. We've got well north now of 100,000 volunteer mentors. Some may not be quite as articulate or have as much experience pissing off potential suppliers as Dave does. And some may not be as capable of sharp, gracious professionalism as Woody. But I think you should just be reminded how remarkable this all is. I mean, our name says it all. We are all for inspiring and recognizing the power of science and technology. And as I said, and as I read the letter from the former president, and you'll hear more about this as the season goes on, especially if some of my bigger plans start to become reality, and sometimes they do. Sometimes my overnight successes take 25 or 26 years, but we really are focusing on some international growth now with way more credibility than we used to. And I've been talking to international business leaders, international political leaders. But to give you all a sense of how far FIRST has come, when I started talking relatively recently to some of our long-term supporters from around the world. One of them was Shimon Peres, who's now 92. And I asked him if he could help us maybe more focus a truly international cooperation to grow first even more quickly internationally the way we're trying to do nationally, because I think, as we've all seen, the world is in desperate need of a generation of kids that can really solve problems. And I'm not as articulate as one of the great living statesmen of our time, Shimon Peres. But he repeated to me even more eloquently than he did 15 years ago the following concept. He said, Dean, of course I would help you create an international partnership among all countries for FIRST, because I could use Israel as an example. And he said, 15 years ago, when he asked me to come to Israel and help them organize their first regional, so they wouldn't have to send just a few teams to the US. They could have their own event and they could grow. And he said, I don't want to do that just for Israel. I need to do it for the Middle East. And he said, Dean, in the 15 years that he personally has been promoting FIRST in the Middle East, he said, Dean, this year we had 650 teams. He said, I have teams with kids from Palestine, Jordan. I've got all girls teams from Palestine. I was there last year, and the kids' parents dropped them off at the front of the building. And the kids from Israel's parents dropped them off at the back of the building, because the parents still won't talk to each other. But the kids go in. And he reminded me that this is the first generation he's seen in 4 generations. I mean, literally, this man says, Dean, I've watched 4 generations of kids grow up learning how to repeat the same mistakes of their parents and their grandparents. Self-inflicted wounds, because they learn different truths. They don't learn how to communicate, cooperate, trust each other. He said, Dean, FIRST is working. Literally, this man, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, prime minister or president, said, Dean, I've watched 4 generations grow up, and let me tell you, politics is about dividing countries. Technology has the power to unite the world. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics, it's the same in every language. And if we give kids the tools and the rational thinking and a respect for the laws of nature that are way more elegant than some of the arbitrary ones we make up, he said, I really believe FIRST has the possibility to be a global tool of international diplomacy, to create the first generation on this planet where kids grow up all understanding they have the same problems: environment, food, and water, energy. And they can all learn to work together. So I can't tell you how it's going to come out, and we're still growing the grassroots FIRST. And the U.S., I hope, will continue to lead the way. But I typically stand here at the kickoff and thank all the mentors for what I know will be a brutal amount of effort. I'm really concerned that, by the way, Don admitted it's hundreds or thousands of hours. But that's all right. Dave came up and fixed it by analogizing it to the 5 stages of recognizing impending death. But I will tell you that they didn't tell you about the 6th stage or the 7th stage, and this is something that all you mentors ought to think about. We never lose mentors. Sometimes we get mentors because they have their own kids involved, or their company asked them to do it. And 20 years later, their kids are long gone, or their company's been bought and sold, or they're retired. But there's no small print in the first contract. And nobody ever leaves first. And nobody can retire from first. And we keep our mentors. Because despite the fact that everything that Don said is true about the effort, despite the fact that everything Dave Lavery said, the fact is, I think everybody involved in FIRST gets more out of it than they put into it. There are very few collective institutional activities you can get involved in where you know damn well that the legacy of doing it, compounded over all the people involved, all the kids involved, can have an impact that changes the world in a very positive way. So this year, since my focus is accelerating FIRST domination of the world, rather than just thank you all as mentors for what you're doing for the kids here, I want to thank you all for being a model that I can now credibly use literally around the world to bring to different cultures and different countries the idea that we can finally have a world where all kids can grow up with the opportunity to communicate, cooperate, solve their problems together, and we'll all win. Everybody I know wants their kids to be first. Parents do. Everybody wants to be first. And I think if we can all remember that we're here for the inspiration and the recognition of science and technology as this incredibly fun event, but an incredibly powerful, meaningful tool that can help fix a world that needs some fixing, you'll stay involved. And so I know you're going to have a hard season. I think you're going to love this game. But on behalf of all the kids everywhere that have been and are and will be involved in FIRST, I thank you all for donating the most valuable thing you all have, your time and your reputation and your passion. And I will work hard, and I'm sure the FIRST team will work hard to continue to earn it as we continue to have a bigger and better influence on the world. Let's have a great season.